Welcome to another episode. This is on the job market, whether it is in India or across the globe. That's on the campus recruitment part and the layoffs which are happening. So that is what we are going to look at. And recent times, not just in the web, even the newspapers, there are interesting. I would not say interesting. There are shocking news on the job market or on the employment sector. So that's what I thought I should discuss. More importantly, as an youngsters, maybe in age group of 30s or 40s, how to face it, how to get prepared for it. So that is what I thought I should discuss in this episode. So three different shocking and interesting news I saw in recent times, both in the web as well as in the newspapers as well. The first one is, of course, the job crisis even at IITs. You know about Indian Institute of Technology, and they always say whenever the campus recruitment happens on the first day itself, most of them gets recruited. This was the information we used to hear about 5 to 10 years back, and they were paid a lucrative salary and unimaginable salaries they were offered from time to time. But this was this year. It was even more surprising and shocking that 38% of the students are unplaced, and this news is as of 23rd May, which means that 4 year, whatever that graduation, 4 years of study is over. So even beyond that, the 38% students are unplaced amidst of rising unemployment. So if you take IIT, if that is at this stage, you can imagine engineering colleges, be it tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, what is their status on the campus recruitment. So you can imagine that it should be much, much worse than IITs themselves. So this is one that is particularly for India. So it is again, it is not just about India. There is another news as on few days back about students who are Indian students in US, including the elite Ivy League universities. So I hope most of you know about what is Ivy League universities. In case if you are unaware, the best of the best universities that Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Cornell, University of Pennsylvania, Columbia University, they form that Ivy League universities. Even they are facing in getting jobs, not just the jobs landing in internship. Here I would like to state a couple of things. Even in my known circles, who have had about couple of years experience here in India, that is post their graduation. They graduated in around 1920, 2019 or 2020, and they were well employed in well-known companies in India. And after 2 years of experience, 2 or 3 years of experience, they were earning well in the bracket of maybe 13 lakhs or 15 lakhs as a fresher or just about couple of years of experience. They resigned and went for the masters to US, and they themselves are facing challenges and getting the internship, though they were not in these universities, they were in the different US universities. They are finding it difficult even to land up an internship. Sometimes they land up an internship and that gets postponed as well. Internship gets cancelled or postponed, leave alone getting the job. So even they are facing the challenge. They have gone on the student visa, which is known as F1, and after that they got to, once they got placed, they need to go to either OPT or the training visa, OPT training visa, or they got to get H1. So US job market is not good for Indian students as well. That is, it was not there. The point is, when you refer about 5 10 years back, it was not so. That is another one. And the headcount reduction or layoffs, like this is the TCS, Infi, Wipro. If you look at from right from year 2000 onwards, they have been always been, the headcount was quarter to quarter, year to year. There is always an increase in headcount of above somewhere about 10% and above. It's the first time in the last quarter itself there was a reduction, in the strength of TCS, Wipro, Infi. Of course, it's Cognizant as well. Recently reported Cognizant as well. The headcount reduction, which was never heard in last 15, 20 years. It has always been a rise. The headcount rise has been happening, and even much more challenging news we keep hearing is about the type of layoffs which is happening. They are sometimes they are made to forced to resign, or forced to resign in the sense they return with a kind of a termination. They say you might get terminated if you don't voluntarily resign. So those news also comes in. We keep hearing about those news from time to time, and in fact from my known circle I heard about this also happening, that they are forcing employee to resign so that the settlement happens, so that it doesn't reflect on their the certificate they get post the resignation, the experience certificate. It is not mentioned as termination, but it also will be mentioned as a voluntary retirement. So all these news are happening which is unheard about a decade back. So how do we, I mean, considering all these three factors, one is that the first one is campus recruitment is not so good. Again, it's not just in India, even in abroad. Even the lateral hire and those who are experienced also when they are in job, maybe after a few years, maybe 5 or 10 years, and they are also facing challenges. This is something unheard in recent times. So, what is the best approach to tide through, or the best approach to go through it, and ensure that you have a kind of a alternate plan or a plan B, so that even if you are at the risk of losing the job, how do you face it? That is what is the question, and that is what I'm going to provide you with various points. The first one is, of course, you need to have a control on your EMIs. So that is the credit based purchase, and when you make credit based purchase or through a loan, you got to pay a monthly equated returns, or equated monthly installment you need to pay. So you need to have a control on EMI. So these EMIs can be for anything. It could be for the consumer purchase, or it could be even for the higher education. There are so many loans these days are available. If you look at 20 years back, the concept of EMI is only for the business, nothing for the consumers. That is prior 2000. So in 1990s, it's only for the business they go for loans. The consumer loans were very, very, very minimal. So now you take it anything, you get an EMI. So try to have a control on your EMI. I would not say try to have control, you need to have a control on EMIs. So EMIs should constitute somewhere between, I would ideally say, should be in the range of 10%, unless it's a huge purchase like your home. And even for a home based purchase, I would rather say don't go beyond 30% of your net take home. It's better to avoid EMIs, but you have no other option. If you anyway, buying a home is always a dream for anyone. So ensure you make as much upfront payment as possible. Save the money and make upfront payment as much as possible, and then the rest you got to have funded them through the loan. So ensure that even that doesn't go beyond 30%. The reason I'm saying 30% is that the remaining 30% ensure that you save, not only save, invest them wisely. It should be between FD, stock market, even gold. The reason I'm saying gold is that if you had invested, the gold is the only asset which has been appreciating. Even though car, automobiles said to be an asset, it is always depreciating. It will go down year after year. Whereas gold is one thing, either it is stable or it goes up generally. So gold, if you're investing on the gold, it's fine. But yeah, you got to ensure that the wastages or making charges in the ornamental gold, that's a huge. So ensure that it's paper based gold bond scheme, or even some gold which doesn't have that much wastages, you could opt on. But the point is, as far as possible, avoid EMIs. That is point number one. And make sure you are investing right quantum of money in FTs, maybe in stock market. FD is as good as your cash in hand, you can liquidate it. Whereas stock market, there is going to be a fluctuation. It is suddenly it could fall, suddenly it can go up. It's better to have a long term as far as stock is concerned, as give it a You should have been invested generally. If you're an amateur, ensure that you have been invested in stock at least for 5 years, particularly if it is something like a mutual fund, so that you don't need to really look into the technical aspects of investing. So the first is avoid EMI. Number two is make savings as much as possible. The next one is keep upskilling. So gone are the days with the same technology, like you could be in the same technology for 10, 15 years. It is not so. Any technology, particularly if you are in the software field, every few years could get obsolete. Better products, better application, better tools will come through. So you have no other option but to upskill. If you look at earlier days, the mainframe guys would have comfortably lived about a decade or two. Then relational database, even a decade, they would have just lived with it. But these days, every 5 years, it keeps updating, becomes obsolete. So you have no other option but to keep upskilling. So upskilling, one of the advantage of upskilling is that gone are the days when upskilling was always challenged. That is where they used to go abroad to upskill themselves. But these days, because you might not have think about when it was mainframe days. So you need to very few corporates or very few training institutes have those kind of infrastructure as mainframe systems. So you need to maybe spend a fortune or you need to go abroad to upskill. But these days, with technology, with cloud technology and all, you can upskill at a low cost. At a low cost, there are platforms like Udemy, where you just for a matter of maybe 700, $800, you get the professional to teach you. It's not just the college professor; it is professional who could teach you. Not just Udemy, even Microsoft or Oracle, Google, they have their own course, and most of them are at times free as well. And even the cloud platform itself, it's free. So whether it is machine learning, the data science, or generative AI, the latest one, you can just upskill. Only thing is, you need to have time. So that requires time. Maybe give a month or two to go through the course, prepare, take the certification as well. Some of them, at times, the certification is also free. So keep your eyes open, ensure that you upskill. And when you upskill, don't go for an, I would rather suggest kind of a recommendation also, don't go for a highly expensive courses. Like if you're, the example I gave, there are a couple of guys who are well known to me. They were well employed post their campus recruitment in India itself. They, after 2 3 years, they went abroad for a post graduation, and that was costing a fortune. They are now uh, finding it difficult. One is that getting the job. Number two is that after their because they have gone on loan, they got to pay that loan as well. So they initially you might get a moratorium period, which is you don't need to pay the principal 2 3 years. Only the interest component is going to accumulate. But after few years, 2 years time max, you need to, the principal will also be there. On top of it, interest component is also there. So you need to make a repayment back. And if you are not in job, it is going to be difficult. And if you're coming back to India, to the whatever the loan amount you have made, whatever the salaries you get might not match. So it's going to be a difficult ask. So ensure that you need to upskill. Number one, no doubt on it, but ensure that it is not an expensive route. It is well within your reach. So search for that which offers um, maybe a free course or an expensive course which is done by the professionals themselves. The professionals from either from the top companies like Google or AWS or Oracle or Microsoft, who have trained. They provide the training, particularly if you're in IT field. Then they provide the training. Look for much cheaper courses and upskill yourself. So upskilling is essential. Don't take a laid back approach. 2 3 years, the technology changes. You need to upskill yourself. That is point number two, I would say. Point is, but not of course the least point, be prepared for the worst. You always have a plan B in mind, because these are uncertain times, and that is how the dynamic world is going to be in the future as well. So be prepared for it. So how do we be prepared for it? Yes, as I said, increase your savings, invest it wisely, and curtail on your EMI. So if you are in the age group of say up to 20 to 30, in case if you're caught in maybe in a situation where you have layoff, and I would say gone are those days when the best of the best who are doing the job best, they'll be lifelong in that company. It is not like that. It all depends on the project, or it can depend on the product itself. Even the best of the best companies like Google, Microsoft, they sell the product itself. They sell the product. So those who have in the development itself, they have no other option but to release them from the company. So have your savings. So in the age group of, I would say, in the age group of 20 to 30, yes, you will get recruited by a different, always a chance of getting recruited. So in another company, but that will be a kind of a lead time. So if you're in the age group of 20 to 30, I would say have a saving that the next day you're not going to have a job, then ensure that you have a saving of which can take care. For example, if your monthly expenses in the range of 30,000 INR or whatever it is in the USD as well. So check what is your monthly expenses. You have a month, you have a saving. At least you can withstand for the next 6 months. Instead, even though you're not getting any income, you are able to sustain for next 6 to 8 months. Particularly if you are in the age group of 20 to 30. So you are high chances because you are still young. You can learn technology at a faster rate, and you will get recruited as well. So because your responsibility will be much lesser, every chances of getting recruited in next max of 6 to 8 months. So 6 to 8 months, you ensure that you have the saving, but this will go up. So particularly if you're above 30 and up to 40, then ensure you have savings of next 1 year or maybe 15 months or 1.5 years. You have the savings to withstand because you have more responsibilities as well. And not only that, the opportunities, as you go up higher in the pyramid, the opportunities are much less when you compare to a role of a software engineer or a lead than as a manager or as an architect. The skill, the opportunities will be very less. So you need to have a saving of for next 1 to 1.5 years. So have that saving so you can use the saving to lead a life and upskill yourself. And if you're 40 plus, you need to have an alternative plan in place. So maybe take up a new domain or be on your own. You need to think about even a startup or do something so that that keeps you engaged. So you need to have substantial amount of savings to lead your life. No doubt by chance or by some means you can get recruited as well after 40, but how long you'll be able to sustain in a new job, a new field, a new company after 40 years, the adaptability is going to come down because you might be reporting to a manager who is much younger to you, and that could create a kind of a challenge as well. Maybe it could create a challenge itself. So you have if you're above 40, you should have your savings much more than maybe 1 year or 2 years. Your savings should be much more because you're responsible. You have children's education and much more dependencies will come through. So have much more savings so that you can think about different option, whether to take a job, to upskill, or to be on your own, to be self-employed. So all this, it's better to plan at a younger age itself because it's all uncertain time. So you need to be prepared for this. I hope you found this presentation useful. Do subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Cheers.